Have you ever wondered about the tiny organisms responsible for one of the world's deadliest diseases, malaria? Welcome back to the Victory Education Lounge. I'm your host, Maurice, and today we're diving deep into the fascinating world of malaria. This is part 3 of our series on the different types of malaria, focusing on Plasmodium species and their unique characteristics. Before we begin, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to ring that notification bell. We love hearing from you, so please leave a comment below sharing your thoughts or experiences with this topic. Now, ready to unravel the mysteries of Plasmodium vivax? Let's delve into the complex world of Plasmodium vivax. Plasmodium vivax, often called benign malaria, is anything but benign. Despite its less deadly reputation compared to its cousin P. falciparum, it poses unique challenges that make it a formidable foe in the fight against malaria. First, let's talk about its geographic distribution. P. vivax is primarily found in Asia, Latin America, and some parts of Africa. It thrives particularly in regions with temperate climates, making it a year-round threat in many areas across the globe. Now, on to its life cycle. One of the most distinctive features of P. vivax is its ability to play the long game. It's able to stay dormant in the liver as hypnozoites, or as we might call them, sleeping parasites. These parasites can reactivate weeks, months, or even years after the initial infection, causing relapses. Coming to its red blood cell preference, P. vivax is a bit picky. Unlike P. falciparum, which is not choosy and can infect red blood cells of all ages, P. vivax prefers young red blood cells, also known as reticulocytes. This preference actually restricts its ability to cause severe anemia, but makes it more elusive in blood tests. Now let's discuss the symptoms. P. vivax infections typically cause cyclical fevers every 48 hours, accompanied by chills, sweating, and fatigue. While it's less likely to cause severe complications than P. falciparum, it can still lead to an enlarged spleen, kidney problems, and in rare cases, cerebral malaria. Finally, we come to the treatment challenges. The hypnozoite stage of P. vivax makes it particularly tricky to treat. Standard anti-malarial drugs like chloroquine can clear the blood stage parasites, but they don't have any effect on the dormant liver forms. This means that even after successful treatment of the initial infection, patients remain at risk for relapses, making P. vivax a gift that can keep on giving. So what does all this mean? Well, it means that while P. vivax may not grab the headlines like P. falciparum, it's still a significant player in the world of malaria. Its unique characteristics, from its geographic distribution and life cycle, to its red blood cell preference and treatment challenges, make it a complex and persistent threat. As we can see, P. vivax presents unique challenges in the fight against malaria. Its ability to stay dormant and cause relapses, its preference for young red blood cells, and its resistance to standard treatments all contribute to its widespread impact. Understanding these characteristics is the first step towards developing more effective strategies to prevent, diagnose, and treat P. vivax malaria. So, the next time you hear about benign malaria, remember, there's more to P. vivax than meets the eye. Now let's look at some real-world examples to understand the impact of P. vivax malaria. Our first example takes us to India, a country with a significant burden of P. vivax. Picture a young woman named Priya. She contracted malaria while visiting her rural hometown. After being treated, she felt better and returned to her bustling city life. However, 6 months later, just as she was starting a new job, she fell ill again. The culprit, a relapse of her malaria infection. This scenario underscores the sneaky nature of P. vivax and how it can disrupt lives long after the initial infection. Next, let's travel to the Amazon rainforest, where indigenous communities grapple with recurring P. vivax outbreaks. Here, the parasite doesn't just impact individual health, it also disrupts the community's productivity and economic stability. When people are frequently ill, they can't work or take care of their families. The community's resources are stretched thin, coping with the constant cycle of infections and relapses. Our third example takes us to Thailand, where researchers made a worrying discovery. They found that some strains of P. vivax have developed resistance to chloroquine, the standard first-line treatment for malaria. This alarming development is a stark reminder of the need for new therapeutic approaches and ongoing surveillance to keep up with the ever-evolving malaria parasites. Now imagine being a soldier deployed to malaria-endemic areas like Afghanistan. Military personnel there often face the challenge of P. vivax infections. The potential for relapse months after returning home complicates both individual health management and military readiness. Imagine returning home after a tough deployment thinking you're safe and sound, only to be struck down by a malaria relapse. It's a sobering reminder that the reach of P. vivax extends far beyond the tropical regions where it's typically found. Finally, let's look at Ethiopia, where a study found that asymptomatic P. vivax infections were common in school-aged children. This means that many kids are infected with the parasite but don't show any symptoms. While this might sound like a good thing, it's actually a double-edged sword. On one hand, these children aren't getting sick, but on the other hand, they can still spread the parasite to others, contributing to the ongoing transmission of malaria in their communities. These examples underscore the pervasive and persistent threat posed by P. vivax. It's not just a health issue, but a social and economic one that affects individuals, families, communities, and even entire countries. So the next time you hear about malaria, remember that it's not just about the number of cases or deaths. It's about the unseen burden of disease, the disruption of daily life, and the resilience of those who live in the shadow of this persistent parasite. As we conclude our exploration of Plasmodium vivax, let's summarize the key points. This species of malaria, often misleadingly referred to as benign malaria, is widespread across Asia, Latin America, and parts of Africa. It thrives in temperate climates, making it a year-round threat in these regions. One of the most distinctive features of P. vivax is its complex life cycle. It has the ability to remain dormant in the liver as hypnozoites, which can reactivate weeks, months, or even years after the initial infection, leading to relapses. This trait is one of the major challenges in the fight against P. vivax. When it comes to infecting red blood cells, P. vivax shows a preference for the young ones, known as reticulocytes. This preference limits its ability to cause severe anemia, but makes it harder to detect in blood tests. The symptoms of P. vivax infection are cyclical fevers every 48 hours, accompanied by chills, sweating, and fatigue. While it is less likely to cause severe complications than P. falciparum, it can still lead to an enlarged spleen, kidney problems, and in rare cases, cerebral malaria. Treating P. vivax poses unique challenges. Standard anti-malarial drugs like chloroquine can clear the blood-stage parasites, but they don't affect the dormant liver forms. This makes it crucial to develop new therapeutic approaches and maintain ongoing surveillance. From India to the Amazon rainforest, from Thailand to Afghanistan, P. vivax continues to impact lives, disrupt communities, and challenge healthcare systems. It's a silent enemy, often hidden in the liver, waiting for the right moment to strike again. The fight against P. vivax is a global challenge that requires a collective effort. Researchers, healthcare workers, policymakers, and each one of us have a role to play. It's not just about finding a cure, but also about understanding the enemy, raising awareness, and driving changes in policy and practice. Remember that the fight against P. vivax malaria requires a multifaceted approach. Research, community engagement, and innovative strategies are all crucial in our efforts to control and eventually eliminate this persistent parasite. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Plasmodium vivax. If you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up and share it with others who might be interested. Don't forget to subscribe to the Victory Education Lounge for more fascinating content on science and health. Before we go, a quick disclaimer. The information in this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Any health-related decisions should be discussed with a licensed physician. Malaria is a serious disease, and if you're traveling to endemic areas, always consult with a travel clinic or healthcare provider for appropriate preventive measures. Before we wrap up, I want to emphasize that while we've covered a lot of ground today, there's still so much to learn about malaria. This video is just the beginning of our journey to understand and combat this disease. In the coming weeks, we'll continue to dive deeper into each aspect of malaria, from its life cycle to the latest research and vaccine development. If you're passionate about making a difference, I invite you to support the fight against malaria by visiting United to Beat Malaria. You'll find the link in the description below. Together, we can help save lives and create a healthier world. Every contribution, no matter how small, brings us one step closer to a world free from malaria. Remember to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Together, we can unveil the truths about malaria and join the battle to end this global menace. Until next time, stay curious and stay healthy.